If you've ever felt drained after a party while everyone else seemed energized, or if you need alone time to recharge, there's actual neuroscience behind why your brain works this way. And no, you're not broken. Let me show you what's really happening inside an introverted brain. Hi, hello, and welcome to Introvert Talks, your corner of the internet where we celebrate the quiet, the thoughtful, and the introspective. If you're someone who thinks deeply, recharges in solitude, and finds meaning in the quiet moments, you're in the right place. On this channel, we dive into the science, psychology, and real-life experiences of being an introvert in an extroverted world. No fluff, no surface-level advice, just honest conversations backed by research, personal stories, and practical strategies for thriving as your authentic self. Whether you're here to understand yourself better, find your people, or just feel less alone in your introversion, I'm glad you're here. Now, if you're new here, today's video is the perfect place to start because we're answering one of the most fundamental questions. What's actually happening in your brain that makes you an introvert? Let's dive into the neuroscience. We're going deep into the science of introversion today. We're talking dopamine pathways, cortical thickness, and why your brain literally processes the world differently than an extrovert's brain. By the end of this video, you'll understand yourself on a whole new level. We'll cover the dopamine difference, the acetylcholine advantage, and why introverts actually have more gray matter in specific brain regions. And if you're still here after all that science talk, you're definitely an introvert. Let's begin. First things first. The biggest neurological difference between introverts and extroverts comes down to one neurotransmitter, dopamine. Dopamine is your brain's reward chemical. It's released when you experience something pleasurable, social interaction, excitement, novelty, risk-taking. Here's the key. Introverts and extroverts have different dopamine reward systems. Extroverts have a more active dopamine system in the brain's reward network. Their brains release more dopamine in response to external stimuli, parties, social events, new experiences. This is why extroverts seek out stimulation. Their brains are literally chasing that dopamine hit. But introverts? We have less dopamine activity in response to the same external rewards. A 2005 study by Dr. Debra using PET scans found that introverts have lower dopamine sensitivity in their reward pathways. This doesn't mean we experience less pleasure. It means we need less external stimulation to feel satisfied. Our brains would actually feel overwhelmed with too much dopamine. That's why the party that energizes an extrovert can feel exhausting to us. It's literally overstimulating our nervous system. But here's where it gets really interesting. While extroverts run on dopamine, introverts have a different fuel source, acetylcholine. Acetylcholine is associated with pleasure from internal experiences, thinking, reflecting, focusing inward. It's released when you're in a state of calm focus, when you're reading, when you're having a deep one-on-one conversation, when you're learning something new. Dr. Marti Laney's research in her book, The Introvert Advantage, explains that introverts have a more dominant acetylcholine pathway. This is why we actually enjoy activities that extroverts might find boring. Here's what this means practically. Reading a book for hours? That's acetylcholine at work, giving you pleasure from internal processing. Having a deep conversation with one friend instead of mingling at a party? Acetylcholine. Spending a weekend working on a solo project? You guessed it, acetylcholine. This is also why introverts need recharge time after socializing. We're switching from the high-stimulation dopamine pathway back to our preferred acetylcholine pathway. It's not that we're antisocial, we're literally changing our neurochemical state. The science validates what you've always felt. Your brain is designed to find pleasure in quiet, reflective activities. Now let's talk about actual brain structure, because this is where it gets wild. Multiple neuroimaging studies have found that introverts have measurable differences in brain anatomy compared to extroverts. Gray matter volume. A 2012 study published in the journal Neuroscience found that introverts have more gray matter in the prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for abstract thought, decision-making, and planning. This explains why introverts tend to think before they speak and prefer to process internally. Extroverts, meanwhile, have more gray matter in areas associated with processing sensory information and immediate responses. They're literally wired to respond quickly to external stimuli. Let's address the elephant in the room. Why do social situations drain introverts but energize extroverts? This comes down to something called arousal theory, first proposed by psychologist Hans Eysenck in the 1960s. Your brain has a baseline level of arousal, basically how alert or stimulated your nervous system is at rest. Think of it like your brain's idle speed. Eysenck discovered that introverts have a higher baseline arousal level. Our brains are already running at a higher idle speed. This has been confirmed by modern neuroscience measuring cortical arousal and nervous system activity. Because we're already more aroused internally, we need less external stimulation to reach our optimal level. Too much stimulation pushes us into the overstimulation zone. That's when you feel drained, overwhelmed, or like you need to escape. Extroverts have a lower baseline arousal. Their brains are cruising at a lower idle speed, so they actively seek external stimulation to bring them up to their optimal zone. That's why they get restless when alone and energized by parties. This is also why introverts often excel in careers requiring sustained focus: programming, writing, research, crisis situations where everyone else is panicking. We're already managing high arousal, so external chaos is just more noise. And detail-oriented work. Our heightened baseline makes us more sensitive to subtleties. Your social battery isn't a weakness. It's your nervous system telling you you've reached your optimal stimulation level. Before we wrap up, let's kill some myths with science. Myth: introverts are shy. Nope, shyness is fear of social judgment. Introversion is neurological sensitivity to stimulation. You can be a confident introvert who simply prefers smaller groups because of how your brain processes dopamine. Myth: introverts don't like people. Wrong again. The acetylcholine pathway is actually activated by meaningful connection. Introverts often form deeper relationships because we engage our reward pathways through quality conversation, not quantity of interactions. Myth: introverts can't be leaders. Studies show introverts often make excellent leaders, especially of proactive teams. Why? That prefrontal cortex development means better strategic thinking, and lower dopamine sensitivity means we're less likely to make impulsive decisions for the thrill of it. So there you have it. The neuroscience of introversion explained. Your brain literally runs on different fuel, has different structure, and processes the world differently than an extrovert's brain. This isn't about being better or worse. It's about understanding your operating system so you can work with it instead of against it. You're not antisocial, you're managing dopamine sensitivity. You're not boring, you're acetylcholine-driven. You're not overthinking, you have increased prefrontal cortex activity. You're not weak for needing alone time, you're respecting your arousal baseline. Your introversion is neurological, it's valid, and it comes with real strengths that the world needs. If this resonated with you, leave a comment telling me which part explained something you've always felt but couldn't articulate. And if you want more science-backed introvert content, subscribe and hit that notification bell. Until next time, embrace your quiet power. I'll see you in the next one.